Greetings, friends. The gaming author here. Also, cat, come here. I don't need to hold my phone anymore, so I can pick up cats and show them off on camera. Hey, Treble. You see yourself? You want down? I think she wants down. Okay. It's interesting to not have to hold the camera anymore. And it's also probably weird to have the camera static while filming a vlog. Probably not exactly how it goes most of the time, but you know, whatever. I just got finished playing Dragon Quest III for like 3 hours. It is, you know, what time is it? It is 2:41. I didn't actually get my day started until like noon, so that's fun. I'm also going to move this a little bit. Let's move back a little so I actually have room to stand in center frame instead of off to the side. As we speak, I am posting my vlog from yesterday, so that's progress. You know, for how tall this tripod is, it's, you know, it's probably a me thing. I think I just need to move the camera further away so I'm more in frame. Yeah, this is my new vlog setup, more or less. I'll still carry it with me when I'm like mobile, because I can do that at least. It's like, it's designed to be sort of selfie stick-ish, so you can use it either way. And let me set you down. Now let's see. Okay, we're at 44% so far. And I'm just about done with my coffee. Probably can't see it very well. Yeah, there it is. But might as well share a sip, because why not? So, yeah. Birthday stuff. It was rough. The past few days, or the beginning of this week was really rough. Like, in general. I'm also going to back up a little bit and kind of project my voice a little more, so I'm not as off-frame, I suppose. But yeah, the last couple days were not easy. It's just been a lot of dealing with the house stuff and like all that. And yeah, my birthday was also just never an easy time of year anyway, so it all kind of sucked in general, to be honest, but yesterday was good. Yesterday was the first good day we've had in a few days, so that's good. And I'm counting my blessings, of course, because I mean, you kind of need to when you're dealing with the stresses of life. And also, it's just a good practice to have just in general. So, yeah, also I'm going to sit down. So let's move over here. Then I'll move the camera down, because it's a little tall right now. You're going to hear a click. If I can get it to actually click. There we go. Trying to work new equipment is always an interesting experience. But, yeah, life's been crazy. The housing market sucks. Everything's insane. But at least we have coffee and Dragon Quest. That's kind of where my life's at. Oh yeah, I ended up getting Dragon Quest VII for the 3DS last night because I get paid tomorrow, so I'm not too worried about spending money. I'm not going to go and like spend a whole bunch of it, of course, but I had some spare. I had enough to spare for a game, so I'm like, you know what? I literally get paid tomorrow, so I'm not too worried about it. So I got Dragon Quest VII. I haven't played it, but it was the only mainline Dragon Quest game that I didn't have. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna move the camera there. Alright. Yeah, now I have every mainline Dragon Quest game that came out in the US. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 11, because we don't have 10. And then hopefully 12 when that comes out. I'm also really excited for the Dragon Quest III remake. That's going to be cool. Like, just the screenshots they showed of it, like, being in the same style as Octopath Traveler. That's exciting. Makes me wonder how it's going to play. Like, I wonder if it's going to be as cryptic as the original. Because, I mean, the original's not as cryptic as Dragon Quest 1, but it's still pretty cryptic. Like, you can tell it was an NES RPG designed for you to, like, use maps and strategy guides and things like that. It's not required to beat the game. Like, I've actually just been exploring the, the land in Act 3. Yeah, it's more like Act 2. I've been exploring the end game, I think it is, and I'm doing just fine without like maps or anything. I'm just kind of discovering the game and enjoying it as I go along, which I think is what you're supposed to do with these games. So I guess I'm playing it right. That's the hope anyway. I like games that allow you to do that. I think that's why Dragon Quest speaks so much to me, because there's a lot of exploration, there's a lot of discovery, and just a lot of amazing things to be found, and I love that about this series. I'm already looking forward to playing more, but I'm giving it a break because, like I said, I played over the past 3 hours, so once my vlog from yesterday finishes posting to YouTube, I'm probably going to get some writing done, because I listened to my vlog from yesterday, and I really enjoyed the feel of reading my own stories, because it feels like it's almost making the words come to life more when I'm reading them out loud. Like, it feels way less imaginary and more like, oh my gosh, this is an actual genuine story that I'm writing, you know. Just, I've been working on this for years. I started in 2016 and we're still working on book 5 now. It made it feel way more real. Like, it's a more tangible story. Like, it feels more believable, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because anyone who's been in any artistic field knows the dreaded imposter syndrome, where you feel like the stuff you're putting out or the stuff you're making isn't genuine. You feel like you don't belong, and it's like, oh my gosh, what if someday people are going to find out I don't know what I'm doing? Because apparently that's a worry we have as humans. I don't know, it's stupid. But I guess reading the book made me realize that, you know, it's not that, like, it's fiction, yes, but it's a story that came from my mind, and it's a story that I've published and put out there. And regardless of what people think about it, I like what I put out. Some of it doesn't make sense, some of the wording can be redundant. You know, whatever, I'm human. It's like, do I need an editor? Yes, I do. But am I worried about it? No. The whole point of it is to tell a story. I'm not trying to put out the next bestseller. I'm not trying to write the next Lord of the Rings or anything. I'm just writing a story for fun, and if people jive with it, awesome. If they don't, you know, whatever. It's not going to be for everyone. So, yeah. Like I said, just reading it made it feel way more real, and I appreciate that. And if you guys are enjoying it, I'm glad to hear that. I'll definitely be continuing the reading tonight. We are on chapter 5 now, which is one of the new chapters. I don't think I ever explained it on the vlog. The book that I'm currently reading every night, the Black Crystal: The Origin, it's a redone version of the original book. The original book I published in 2016 was a lot shorter and had fewer details. This redone version basically completely reworked the entirety of Part 1. Part 2 is basically the same, like with some minor tweaks here and there, but Part 1 was completely redone from the ground up to essentially make the story make a little more sense, and add a little more context to information that should have had more context done in the first place. But either way, I'm excited to reading more for you guys. I'm enjoying doing this audiobook sort of thing. But with that being said, the video is almost done posting, so I guess I will work on writing. It is evening now. It is 11:25, so not as late as it was last night when we recorded. And I'm just moving the tripod over so we can get set up for a nightly reading. Oh, camera's a little high. Let's go ahead and fix that. Oh, I'm actually rotated it a little bit. You know, let's move it a little lower. There we go. I hope your guys' evening has gone well. Today was kind of a lazy day, so to say. I think I really needed one, though. After how stressful life's been recently, like, I am happily taking any moments of respite I can take. That's for sure. It's nice to be hands-free while recording again. I forgot how nice it was to be able to just stand the camera up and talk to it. Oh, there's a kitty. Might not be very easy to see in the dark, but there's Jumper. Hey, buddy. You wanna come up here? You wanna come up here, bud? Oh, he's looking at the base of the tripod. Yeah, I think he's curious about it. Hey, buddy. Oh. He looks tired. I think he might have just woken up. Oh, and the other cat's staring at me from the hall. I love them. They're so cute. Yeah, I keep needing to adjust the phone because the thing that holds it isn't super steady. Because like I said yesterday, I didn't actually read the instructions when putting it on. So, yeah, it's just kind of standing there menacingly. I think I'm actually going to lower the tripod a little more because I feel like it's still too high. And there we go, that's a little better. You can't really see this side of my face, but that's alright. So let's see, let's scroll through the book. We are reading chapter 5, which I believe is The Lazy Tiefling. Indeed, and Jumper is scratching at one of the scratching posts we have for them. I don't know if you can see it, but he's over there. Sometimes he just goes at it. Alright. Chapter 5. The Lazy Tiefling. Traveling through the streets of Allure was a surprising ordeal with Princess Lenora and the group. They didn't receive as many glances from passerby as expected, but people occasionally looked up at the princess with tilted heads and lifted eyebrows. Every time such a thing occurred, Garen and Peter would block Lenora from the onlookers, while Anne laughed loudly and addressed her by false names. The entire walk, Lucius held his hands parallel to his chest, rubbing his wrist and glancing around. Garen took a glance inside the Lazy Tiefling pub, their destination. There were still a decent number of patrons, but most of them were passed out on their tables, and the ones that were awake were swaying with hooded eyes and gazed onward in a drunken stupor. "We should be good," he said to his friends. The 5 of them walked into the pub, where a tiefling woman with a sapphire complexion, dark blue hair, and spiral horns sat reading a book with crossed legs. "True to the pub's name," Peter declared with a laugh. The tiefling woman, Jamaroquai, jumped at the sound of his voice, her book snapping shut. She jumped up at her feet and slid the book below the bar and chuckled. "What do you mean?" she asked, her cheeks darkening as she twirled a strand of her hair with her finger. "What I was doing doesn't matter. What matters is..." Jamaroquai stopped herself as her eyes trailed downward toward the group that had just entered. Her mouth agape, her eyes fell on Princess Lenora. Is it really..." "In the flesh," Peter said. He crossed his arms and backed up as the rest of the group made their way closer to the bar. "Princess, meet Jamaroquai. Jamaroquai, this is Princess Lenora." "Not so loud," Anne hissed, slapping the back of Peter's head. "Uncalled for," Peter said. Jamaroquai smiled at Lenora and held her hand out. "Well, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance," she said. Lenora reached out and shook Jamaroquai's hand with a nod. "The pleasure is mine," she said. "The bishop wanted her to stay in the church," Lucius began. "But her sleeping quarters were, well, shitty," Peter said. "I believe the word you're looking for is shitty." "I wouldn't put it like that," Lenora added. "But I guess I just wanted a regular place to sleep." She looked up at Jamaroquai as she spoke. "On our way here, I was told this place doubles as a pub and an inn. Is that correct?" Jamaroquai nodded. "Check this out." She smirked and pulled the special tap on the wall. The familiar sound of gears turning within the interior of the wall emerged, and the wall automatically lifted itself to reveal the hallway hidden beneath it. Lenora's eyes were wide as she looked at the peculiar machination. Jamiroquai giggled and leaned up against the bar with her elbow propping her body up. Isn't it great? It served as a safe haven for many of the orphans here in the village. Not many places accept them, but I do. I'm like the den mother in a way. It'll be perfect, Garen said to Lenora. He smiled at her as their eyes met. It's well hidden, and you won't be alone either. You'll have us if you need anything. Lenora bowed slightly to Garen. You have my thanks, she said. Well, shall we go in? Of course, Anne said. There's plenty of been wanting to hear from you, and I've no doubt Peter and Garen would be interested in hearing your story. Their voices trailed off as they walked into the inn. Garen and Peter were about to follow, but they stopped after seeing Lucius. He was looking at some of the patrons of the pub, his eyes narrow and his lips slightly parted. Garen walked up to Lucius and spoke up. Is there something wrong? He asked. Lucius scratched the back of his head. I don't know yet, he said. Call it a hunch, but I think we're being watched. I think someone knows. Who'd watch a ragtag group like us? Peter remarked. Plenty of people, I'm sure, Garen said. Current company taken into consideration? He looked up at Lucius with his arms crossed. If you're so concerned about it, then help us keep her safe. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily concerned, Lucius began, but you have a point. He looked at Peter and Garen and smiled. Let's head up there. I'm sure there's plenty she wishes to talk about. As the three of them headed upstairs, Jamiroquai followed, assuring no one else in the pub followed her in, and closed the secret wall behind herself. I must hear her story as well, she said, as the three men ahead of her stopped to look at her. And if you're having suspicions that you're potentially being watched, the extra security couldn't hurt. Will the pub be all right if it's unmanned? Peter asked. Of course, Jamiroquai said with a grin. No one's stupid enough to try stealing from me anyway, and the few who don't usually get away with just a slap on the wrist, or the few who don't usually get away with just a slap on the wrist. Fair enough. Peter smiled and lifted his shoulders. Your company is most welcome, Lucius added. The group made their way up the stairs and back to the second floor of the Lazy Tiefling Inn. Lenora and Anne were sitting in one of the scattered chairs in the primary living space. Most of the children who were passing through stopped and looked at Lenora with wide eyes and open mouths. All right, Jamiroquai said with a sigh, waving the children away. Yes, she's pretty, but that's no excuse to go staring at her. Lenora giggled, her cheeks reddening at Jamiroquai's remark. The children ran off and headed back downstairs. Well, now that that's taken care of, Jamiroquai clasped her hands together and looked at the group with her. I'll grab more chairs, and we can talk in a little more depth now we've got some privacy for once. It's not like privacy is an issue for me, Lenora said. In this village it is, Jamiroquai said, opening a closet nearby. We're a small country town in the middle of nowhere. Word travels fast around here, and if people knew the princess was here, it wouldn't be good. She grabbed a stack of chairs and pulled them out, kicking the closet door closed as she carried them into the room. I suppose so. Lenora's eyes narrowed. Her hands clenched into fists on her knees. Garen examined her for a moment. Her breaths were shallow. Her skin looked pale. Her elbows trembled as she dug her palms into her knees. The will to say something welled up within Garen, but nothing came out. Jamiroquai finished setting the chairs down in a circle around the room, making sure everyone present had one, and sat down with her legs crossed and her hands folded in her lap. She looked at Lenora with a kind smile. So, what brings you to our little village? She asked. I don't know, Lenora said with a shrug. Her eyes remained pointed at the ground, but with only a moment's hesitation they finally met Jamiroquai's. She shifted her weight in her seat and shook her head. I've been on the run for so long, I can't even remember why I left home in the first place. Her words got caught in her throat. She coughed, cleared her throat, and continued speaking. I remember that I had a purpose here. I came here I think I came to find something. To find something? Lucius asked. I don't know. Maybe. Lenora's words were quiet. All I can remember is leaving home with courage in my heart and a crossbow at my side, but one day these things started chasing me. I tried fighting them off, but my crossbow bolts didn't do anything. They just shot right through their forms like they were nothing. All I could do was run after that. Did you ever get any time to rest? Anne asked. I don't remember. Lenora shook her head. She shut her eyes for a moment, took a deep breath, and let it out with her words. Something happened to me. I at least remember feeling like I could take on whatever threats were ahead of me, but once I reached a point in my journey, I didn't think I'd live. Another deep breath, but the air got caught in her throat. Jamiroquai patted her back. Lenora smiled at her and continued speaking. Every day was a struggle after that. an attempt to survive in a hopeless situation, running away from invulnerable enemies, brigands, and all sorts of other things I didn't even have time to process. The majority of it is a blur at this point. All I remember was accepting my death every time I saw the sunrise, and be somewhat surprised when I lived to see the sunset. Her eyes opened, and she looked up at Garen. Garen felt his heartbeat stop for a moment. Shortly after the last night I spent out over there, I heard a voice. Your voice, specifically, outside the room that the bishop had me sleeping in. My voice? Garen asked, his head tilted slightly to the side. Lenora nodded. I heard others as well, but yours was the one that stuck out the most. Something about it just... Lenora shivered. She grabbed her forehead and groaned through clenched teeth. Jamarque knelt down beside Lenora with her hand on her shoulder and another on her knee. Are you okay? She asked. I'm fine, Lenora groaned. I just feel a little off. A few moments passed in silence. Lenora lowered her hand back onto her lap and breathed once more. Sorry about that, everyone. I didn't mean to worry you. She looked at Garen for another moment and turned towards the rest of the group. It's all weird. It's just weird. I'm sorry. Jamarque gently rubbed Lenora's back. Don't sweat it, she said. It sounds like it's a difficult topic for you, and we're all friends here. This isn't an interrogation. She smiled at Lenora. Relax a little bit, all right? Lenora chuckled. I know, she said. I appreciate your kind words. I guess it's just been a while since I was around people who weren't, trying to kill me. Peter laughed, but was cut short with a swift elbow to the stomach from Anne. You're safe here, Anne replied with a gentle smile. And besides, you've got us to watch after you, when Peter isn't being a dumbass. When isn't he being a dumbass? Lucius asked. Good question. The room filled with laughter. Even Lenora found herself amused by the exchange. Peter simply crossed his arms and shook his head. You're all jerks, he remarked. But you know you love us, Garen said, nudging Peter. Don't test me. Despite his words, Peter laughed as well. The laughter faded, and as it did, Lenora let out a quiet sigh, watching everyone around her with her hands in her lap. You guys really are like a little family, she said. It's nice. I haven't been around people like you guys in some time. Total weirdos, you mean? Garen asked. Lenora shrugged. That's one way to put it. Get used to it now, Lucius said. We'll be getting you back home soon, but in the meantime, you're stuck with these guys. Lenora looked at everyone before her eyes landed on Garen. The noise around them faded until it felt as though they were the only two in the world. As she looked up at him, her lips curled into a smile that sent Garen's heart soaring, and she spoke in the gentlest tone of voice. I don't see any issue with that, she said. And that brings us to the end of Chapter 5. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Wow, we're already 5 chapters in. That's insane. And cats are here now. Oh, well, I can't move the tripod that way because the table's in the way, but I'm enjoying doing these readings. I'm, legitimately having fun with them. It's kind of bringing me back in a way. It's reminding me how much I actually appreciate this book series, and it inspires me to start progressing more. So with that, heck, I might even get some writing done after this. So with that, I think I'm actually going to put a link to a physical copy of my book in the description this time. So if you guys want to pick the book up and read along, or read ahead because I'm only reading 1 chapter a night, I say go for it. It's not the most well-written book, but I feel like the story is really fun, and I'm sure you guys would appreciate it. But in any case, I hope you have had a day, and that at least this vlog has provided some semblance of normalcy, or provided you the time to just kind of slow down, take a deep breath, and understand that, we have this moment right here, right now. Nothing is guaranteed but the present, so just keep that in mind, alright? I'll see you guys tomorrow.